When Microsoft first introduced Game Pass, it was met with a range of reactions, confusion being one of them, which brought forward a few questions. Why would a company that is struggling to get a foothold against its competition provide games through a subscription service and release all its first-party games day one? What does Xbox have to gain by throwing games away like this? Is this enough to shift gamers towards Xbox from other platforms? Well, all of these questions were answered loud and clear through Microsoft's actions over time. Game Pass was not only Microsoft's ticket to turn Xbox's trajectory around, but also its wildcard to dominate games media for years to come. Over the years, Xbox has enjoyed plenty of positive coverage, mostly related to Game Pass. And rightfully so. Financial targets aside, Game Pass has one goal, which is to make games accessible to more people. And it does that with a large, diverse library of games that can be accessed across a wide range of devices thanks to the company's cloud infrastructure, ultimately negating the need of a console. Suddenly, Xbox was not in the console business anymore, but rather a service, or a platform that offers a service with a value proposition unlike any other. And Microsoft takes this move from Xbox very seriously. So much so that its pursuit to add more games and game franchises to its services resulted in purchase of talented studios, big and small. Well, this is a story until a couple of years ago. Even with this aggressive buying spree that the company was in back in the day, nobody would have been prepared for what would happen in January of 2022. I mean, let's face it, we live in a world where Spider-Man is Nathan Drake, Star-Lord is Mario, the new consoles are still hard to find a good year into launch, and graphics cards, well, just don't get me started on graphics cards. So, the world in general is a weird place and anything can happen at any time, right? Yes, but Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard King is one that still no one saw coming, partly because the deal was officially announced out of nowhere before any rumors made their rounds, but mostly due to how big of a deal this is, not to mention how disruptive. The $68.7 billion deal, that's right, that's a billion with a B. The deal may be one of the biggest events in the history of games industry in a while, and perhaps the biggest news of 2022, unless Phil Spencer has some more surprises on the way. But enough acting surprised. The dust has settled now, and we can assess the effects that this deal has had on the industry and will have for years to come. First of all, what is Microsoft getting out of this deal? Call of Duty for starters, which is the highest grossing game for years in a row. A franchise so successful that even in its worst year, which is last year, it was the best-selling game of the year. And what was the second best-selling game of last year? It's a Call of Duty from the year before. So, when we say that Call of Duty is a juggernaut that dwarfs other reputed tentpole games from major studios and publishers, it's actually a bit of an understatement. Okay, so this deal got Microsoft the best-selling game on consoles and PC. Additionally, it also arguably got one of the biggest, most recognized title in the mobile space, Candy Crush, and the family of games from its creators, King. Oh wait, there's also the most recognized MMORPG in the world in the form of World of Warcraft. Then there's Diablo, the dungeon crawling RPG that, well, pioneered the genre from the early days of PC games. There is also Overwatch, which instantly dominated the multiplayer and esports scene. Then there are also some other IPs that Microsoft is gaining, including classics like StarCraft, Spyro the Dragon, Crash Bandicoot, Tony Hawk, Guitar Hero, and Skylanders to name a few. Owning these IPs would mean a switch in balance when it comes to third-party software. A shift in gravity, if you will. In a nutshell, this is one impressive lineup of IPs, but the Big M is also set to pay an impressive sum of money for it. So let's ask the question again. What is Microsoft really gaining out of this deal? We will get to the answer in a bit, but in order to get there, we need to look at the circumstances in which the deal is made from all points of view. Activision, Microsoft, and the rest of the industry. It is no secret that Activision have been having some troubles maintaining public perception thanks to the lawsuit from the state of California, citing allegations of harassment, discrimination, and a toxic work culture. This led to commotion within the company, resulting in top executives leaving, staff walking out, and calls for unionization, just to name a few. Microsoft, which has been on a buying spree, is reported to have been long interested in the purchase of Activision. And the company, which was previously uninterested, found appeal in this offer as a means to end the various issues plaguing it, to restore a good work culture, and as a means to a graceful exit for its CEO Bobby Kotick, whose reputation had taken a hit thanks to the allegations. For the various studios under the Activision Blizzard King umbrella, this deal promises a better work environment under the new leadership, and the prospect of working on IPs other than Call of Duty. It comes as no surprise that there is widespread optimism about the deal within the company and its staff, according to some journalists who have been in contact with the employees at these studios. For gamers, this could mean one of many things. All the IPs may come to Game Pass, and if you're a Game Pass member, the prospect of free Call of Duty every year is hard to resist. Then there is a possibility of long dormant yet beloved franchises like Guitar Hero and Tony Hawk getting a new lease of life, thanks to Phil Spencer's enthusiasm for reviving those games. There are already rumors of Call of Duty taking a backseat and not being a yearly franchise anymore. This only means that the resources will be free to work on other IPs, which is great news. If you're on the Sony side of the story, however, things may look bleak at the moment, as a rival company now owns one of the best-selling games on PlayStation. Despite the promise of all existing games not leaving the platform and the next 3 iterations of Call of Duty reportedly coming to the PlayStation platform, the question of whether or not future games from other franchises owned by the company coming to PlayStation is still left unanswered. On the surface, Sony seems to have been the company that got the worst end of the bargain, which may even look quite evident given the corporation lost 13% of its value, amounting to $20 billion. Yes, that's billion with a B, within 24 hours of the Activision deal being announced. But things may not be as bad as it seems, and to understand that, let's look at this deal from Microsoft's point of view. The deal will no doubt strengthen Game Pass and will bring more subscribers to the company. But this move from Microsoft signals something beyond Game Pass. This feels like a moment in time similar to when Microsoft announced Game Pass initially. It seemed like yet another of Microsoft's attempts to woo its customers, but it turned out to be much larger than anyone anticipated. Game Pass has been the driving force for Microsoft over the last few years. In the same veins, the deal with Activision seems like the foundation of something just as big. This looks like Microsoft's move to be a strong player in the ever-imminent industry consolidation. We know that Sony has acquired a good number of studios over time. We also know all of Microsoft's very publicized acquisitions as well. There was also the recent acquisition of Zynga by Take-Two Interactive. But not many of us are aware of the list of companies in which Tencent has made an investment, an entity which has interests in hundreds of games being released each year. The point is, big corporations are buying out studios left, right and center, and not all of them make the headlines. This trend is set to continue, and more industry consolidation is to come in the future until a handful of companies own the larger pieces of the industry. How good or bad is this for the consumer is a topic for another day, and one that we probably don't have to worry about, at least in the near future. But the moves are being made by big companies, and Microsoft, like any corporation, would aim to be among the top players when the arms race eventually begins. The so-called console war is dead. It was dead the day Sony and Microsoft found different strategies to take their companies forward. What we have going now is content war, and how companies make the best of the content they own will be interesting to see. As such, there is no real incentive for Microsoft to withhold Activision's IPs from other platforms, considering the asking price for the deal, and also considering the number of users platforms like PlayStation houses for its franchises. Sure, a few IPs may go the exclusive route, but to consider the likes of Call of Duty, Diablo and Overwatch as Xbox and PC exclusives is just money left on the table for Microsoft. We also need to acknowledge the current state of these IPs. As big as they are not exactly in their heydays. Call of Duty has seen a steady decline in its sales, with the last iteration seeing 33% lower sales compared to the previous year. Overwatch is slowly but surely losing player base, and the hype for Overwatch 2 has all but fizzled out. World of Warcraft is not the juggernaut that it once used to be, with its user base dwindling at just over 1 million. Microsoft will need to breathe new life into these franchises, and they may need a hand from other platforms in order to do so. Only time will tell how all of this will work out, as unlike the Bethesda acquisition, which consists mostly of single-player IPs, the Activision deal consists of a good number of multiplayer games, and more users are always good news for multiplayer games. Whether Microsoft will look to share the IPs with other platforms or keep them on its own platform is yet to be seen. If it's the latter though, it may in turn result in pressure for better output on Xbox's platform from the acquired studios, which is not fair on them, to be honest. All that said, the impact of this deal cannot be overstated. This may signal one of the biggest shifts in the industry since the introduction of online gaming and the various avenues that opened up. Gaming is radically different now than it was 10 years ago. With acquisitions like these, subscription services headlining conversations, and prospects like NFTs, it will no doubt be much more different in the future. This rapidly evolving industry not only spearheads innovation, but also introduces bold new trends that keep it thriving. As a gaming enthusiast, this is all too exciting. As a customer, I can see companies clamoring for the money I want to spend. They say when there is competition, it is the customer who wins. We may have to wait a few years to find out if that is true in this instance. So, what is your take on Microsoft's Activision deal? Do you play Call of Duty on PlayStation? Are you a Game Pass subscriber? And what is your favorite legacy title from Activision? Sound off in the comments. Let's have a conversation going. Let's discuss this and more in future episodes. Until then, I'm Ishak, and this episode was brought to you by XE Gaming. You take care, stay safe, and keep gaming.